am joined by my good friend, Chaotic Bear, up top.
Fellow Beard Bro, hello.
That's right,
Here
keeping
to,
the lore alive.
yep. Yeah, here to fill in for Popoffy. I've been watching the stream the last couple of rounds. He's been doing a great job on commentary, and these matches have been a delight to watch.
Oh yeah, now we get to see him in action here, huh?
Yeah, and a little bit of Renzi's backsies on the Death Shadow there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're gonna see another Death Shadow versus Swords to Plowshares matchup, right? See how that turns out.
Yeah, we didn't see that interaction last round, but I know whenever I've played white decks or blue-white decks, that is just such a blowout for the Death Shadow player because they spend the whole game trying to get their life total down. You just undo it with one Sword to Plowshares.
Yeah, absolutely. Tensei in chat knows Beard Bros for life. That's right. Once again, you guys, you request it, you shout it from the rooftops. So we make it happen here at the MTG Paper Legacy Discord. What can I say?
Yeah, I appreciate the enthusiasm you're giving it. I don't think anyone has been shouting for it, but I like it. I like the attention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any all caps, but that may just be people being, kind in chat and not trying to get banned or anything.
Yeah, we don't want the bot to ban them for using all caps. I get it. I get it.
Oh, speaking of which, somebody is clack-a-lacking there.
And
That's right.
Yeah, we've got the foreign language version here too. Dos Beardos.
Oh yeah.
I took some Spanish.
We're multilingual. We're multicultural here.
Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to the stream.
Yep. We saw that Shark Typhoon deck grind it out versus Dash Shadow last game. Do you think that Death in Texas has got the same amount of tools it might need to get there? We see a lot more creatures in this list.
I certainly do. I from my personal experience, I do think that D&T has a quite good matchup against Delver decks in general, but almost more specifically these Death Shadow decks. Yeah, I think it has all the tools it needs.
Yeah, I know that is one appeal to a Death in Texas deck is their Delver matchup.
Absolutely. I just recorded a video and put up on YouTube as well just recently of Death in Texas versus Blue Red Delver, and that was a good one. So check that out as well. A little self plug here, but yeah, it's certainly one of the more fun matchups I think you can have in Legacy.
Yeah, I mean any Delver deck has those starts.
Yeah, it feels very, very much like Legacy to me. I always enjoy playing that matchup.
Yeah, I think that Legacy is one of the formats where we just see that tempo decks are always good. It seems like Modern sort of leans on combo or control or that sort of thing. But these Delver strategies, they can get a turn one threat and then protect it with a Daze and then protect it with a Force of Will and then a Bolt when you need it. I mean, it's
kind of a tale as old as time now. Yeah. Well, and I mean, speaking of Legacy, we do have our sort of pillars we've been talking about, but we do have something very spicy coming up for our next Legacy Fight Night. So stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing that at the end of the stream here. So stick around.
Yeah, I don't mean to brag, but I know about it as well, and I'm real excited about it. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's hard for me to always be a brewer, but I think we've got some opportunity coming up.
Certainly. Yeah, I'm the same way, man.
Yeah. You can only take so many 0-3 drops in your life, I think.
Yeah. And I can only play so many decks other than Sneak and Show, so.
You've got those together. Pieces in now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So look out, everybody. Coming at you like Cleopatra.
Yeah. Those players getting shuffled up here. We ready to go?
Yeah, very thorough shuffling. Appreciate that.
Well, got to sufficiently randomize it, man. You don't want to get all those lands on top.
Right. Don't want to get banned from our Discord. Cheating.
Yeah. Now Pope is taking a mulligan.
Absolutely.
Here. I love the thematically appropriate playmat there. That's very nice.
Yeah, it's
Malfi,
beautiful.
Malfi, you can play 34 lands. You can play any number of lands. You can, as long as it's 60 or more, you know.
Aren't you accustomed to playing around 30-ish lands, Chaotic?
No, like 28 or so. Nowhere close to
Right?
30.
Not even close to
Not
30.
even close.
All right, some of us play closer to 0 than 30, so.
Yeah, what, 12, right?
In Dredge, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Lotus Petal. It's kind of like a land.
Lands that owns like 3 lands.
Exactly, in one.
Yeah. Pope on a mull to 5 here now. That's unfortunate. Certainly, there are certainly hands that'll beat a 7 out of Delver, but they're going to be putting out a lot of resources. One way you can beat Delver is countering whatever they do early on, whether that's Swords of Plowshares, or good blocks, getting rid of their creatures, whatever you need to do, and then they just sort of run out of resources. That's where you can really grind with a deck like Death and Taxes. But starting down, a third of your opening hand is going to be a handicap.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, if you have what? Land, swords, second land, Thalia, I mean, that's not a horrible place to be, at least starting off.
Yeah, that's a big game. Or if you can
Mom.
resolve a Stoneforge Mystic, yeah. Mom also good. That's just a permanent, turns anything into a permanent blocker there.
That's right. Blanks Gurmag, blanks, but turn one Thoughtseize is gonna,
Yikes.
We see
We
the
see
turn one Aether Vial.
Aether Vial, Rashadenport, Stoneforge, Flicker Wisp, and Swords.
All right. My money would be
Yeah.
on taking the Aether Vial there.
Yeah, with no access to white mana, it seems like an easy take there. Pope's hand gets turned on for sure if they can draw a white source, but that's a brutal Thoughtseize there for sure.
For sure. But hey, it's early. Anything could happen.
Oh, definitely. If we just see like planes here, then we
It's
know
all
that
right. Yeah.
everything's online. But
Could be sandbagging the planes. You never know.
yeah, I mean, I would of course be tempted to run it out turn one against the Wasteland deck, but
I absolutely would be. But hey,
Malfi, here comes the waste. Yeah.
don't do it to him.
Yikes.
They did it to him.
Did it to him. So Pope probably just draw go here, right? Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Get him.
Ooh, all right.
Okay. Well, clear boards.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, if Pope's looking for white mana, right?
Yeah, nothing in the hand can be cast off of a wasteland anyway, so we see a.
Oh.
All right. I didn't know this was wasteland themed night.
It is, apparently, yeah.
You think that's going to be on our
and that may be the surprise for tonight. Just Wastelands.deck. We're actually unbanning Strip Mine for the tournament. Just kidding, folks.
Yeah, it's
we do see
Tempest
the
Block
claims here.
constructed next week, I think.
Yeah.
We were joking about masks. You have that beautiful planes with the beautiful planes playmat. I loved the attention to detail there.
Very nice, yeah. And so, I mean, that's what Hoffy wanted to see for sure. Hey, and Port.
Yeah.
We seeing here Thalia? Oh yeah, the Stoneforge.
Yeah. We have to, I mean, I assume that there's a daze or a force or something in the other hand there, but okay, is there any flexing on us with those antiquity strip mines? We get it. We get it.
Get it?
Yeah, it's hard to justify getting some of those cards that aren't legal in Legacy for me, the fancy old versions.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way, but I mean, hey, whatever floats your boat, y'all.
Yeah. So which equipment does Pope run main deck here? It looks like getting Batter Skull.
I would also assume the typical GT and sort of Fire and Ice.
Yeah. Sort of Fire and Ice is. I like Batter Skull because it comes with its own threat. But
that is correct. Yeah, I typically like to go for the Batter Skull early on, depending on the board state, right? I mean, it's sort of a tricky situation to be in because sometimes you just want to go straight for the sort of Fire and Ice just because, I mean, it's going to get past all these Delvers. It's going to kill them. It's going to be a huge clock, but I guess it just depends on what the texture of the match is looking like, right?
Yeah. I mean, this early on, you're right. If you can stick the Batter Skull, and stick the germs, and this just clocks you so quick.
Yeah. I guess the one thing though is with these Death Shadow decks, they do have the ability to sort of stonewall a Batterskull, unlike some of like the blue red Delver decks and things like that that have to like chump block.
Yeah, with a sufficiently big Death Shadow.
Yes, as well as the Gurmag Anglers.
Yep. So we see a fatal push on the Stoneforge Mystic there, stranding that Batterskull in Pope's hand.
Yeah. Which is another reason, it's not so bad to go for the cheaper equipment, right? Because playing against these heavy removal decks, it's quite likely that your Stoneforge will get removed.
Yeah, and Punt had the Wasteland out already at that point, but we see Big Fish has entered the chat here.
Yeah, speaking of. And we see the swords.
Yep, that was the swords we knew about earlier.
Stubby D, maybe?
I don't mind a Stubby D. Yeah, there's the days though. So this is just a lot of the things we were talking about with any Delver strategy. You just stick one threat and you just make sure that you can keep it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Hoffy probably wants to really see like a Mother of Runes, right? To just block that fish forever.
Yeah, that would. Crazy here pointing out that beautiful signed Chris Rush Brainstorm.
Yeah,
definitely,
rest in peace.
Definitely a fan of that. A little bit with a tank here though. Yep, and Pope is just picking it up here. I guess there's just not anything to top deck. 5/5 is good. Oh, you can get a swords.
Yeah, I mean, Hoffy said, "Hey, I've had enough. Let's just shake off that game one and just move on to game two," right?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be tough on a mold of 5 there for that reason.
Absolutely,
and we saw that was a sketchy 5. So
for sure. So let's see. We'll go ahead and get into the sideboards, huh? Would you like me to go ahead and read off Hoffy's sideboard?
sure, tell me what Hoppy's got.
Hoffy's got the 2 Deafening Silence, 2 Path to Exile, 2 Surgical Extractions, the 1 Leon Relic Warder, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Council's Judgment, 1 Sanctum Prelate, 2 Cataclysm, and 1 Gideon. What do you like bringing in here?
It depends on how much I'm taking out. Path is an easy one for me because it's just a little bit worse swords in this matchup. Sanctum Prelate turns off basically the entire deck on the other side of the board, and I feel like the rest is just whatever you have room for. You play a lot more Death and Taxes than I do, though. What are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, once again, I do like these Delver matchups. I think that Death and Taxes has a fairly good main board game against them. But I could see the Thalia Heretic Cathar maybe being a bit too slow. So maybe that would come out. I also typically trim things like the Recruiter of the Guards against Delver decks because I'd rather just present the threat as opposed to spending this extra mana to go get my threat. So I would probably do something like that. I don't hate the idea of bringing in like a Rest in Peace to just completely shut off the Anglers. That may be too cute. But I mean, couldn't be bad. But I agree with you about the Path to Exiles. I think those are very, very good against these efficient threats. So just being able to 1-for-1 them and then take over the game with your prison pieces and things like that, I think is, extremely good. I might just go with that, right? I mean, you don't want to bring any of the like heavy hitters like Cataclysm or Gideon. I think those are just too expensive and probably better against like a control deck.
Yeah, Gideon does make blockers for the Shadow every turn, but I think you're trying to win. You're trying not to not lose.
Not only that, but like we had said before, I think that Mom just does a good enough imitation of that anyway, right? As long as you can get your Mom to stick, I think it can just block all day. Yeah, I do agree that the Palace Jailer's good. HC Fox, I think Palace Jailer's sweet.
Yeah, against a deck that's trying to just land a single threat most of the time, I think that card is probably great.
Yeah, it's just another removal spell and also an attacker when you need, and it draws you cards. So hey, why not?
Yeah, just have everything.
So going into the Shadow deck, right? They have 1 Caracas, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Eliminate, the new card, very cool. 2 Hymn to Torak, 1 Ratchet Bomb, 1 Liliana Last Hope, 2 Narset, 2 Plague Engineer, and 1 Submerge. All right, I see some good ones coming in here. What's your view on this sideboard here?
For me, it's a tough thing because Delver here, or the Death Shadow deck, can be the beatdown in a lot of matchups. We saw how grindy that game was, even with Pope on a 5-card hand. So I'm tempted to keep the aggro in the deck, but there's also some great cards that just will help clear the way, like Eliminate. Liliana the Last Hope is a little slow, but it kills everything.
I'm a
And
huge fan of Liliana Last Hope in this matchup. Yeah,
yeah, Plague Engineer costs 3, but it also just sort of does everything. Those are the
I
cards I'm tempted to
also
bring.
like.
And yeah,
Yeah,
and Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb will help clean up a lot of those 1 and 2 mana cards you don't have answers for otherwise.
exactly. It's a board wipe against like a board of moms, right?
Yeah.
Which can be one of, actually, surprisingly enough, one of the biggest roadblocks is just a couple moms. But to be able to blow those out with Ratchet Bomb is incredible. So in that case, what do you take out? I mean, my first thought would possibly be the Thoughtseize, or at least a couple of the Thoughtseize.
Yeah, the Thoughtseize or the Dazes. I mean,
Yeah,
the Death and Taxes deck taps out a lot anyway, but they do have.
yeah,
But I just don't think that after the first couple turns you're seeing anything. And if they have Ether Vial out, then it's just blank anyway for the stuff you care about.
exactly. Yes, and especially if you're on the draw here, right? Days become substantially worse.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So if you're newer to Legacy, that's something that we see in a lot of blue matchups, especially on the draw. Days of the Forces, and sometimes even some of the soft permission will come out. I mean, you don't want to be completely reactive. You want to be able to stick your own threats also. And in this case, opponent knows that there's not any opposing counter magic to worry about either, and so they
Right.
can just sort of go nuts with it.
Zerania does bring up good points in the chat, right? About the whether or not Hafi is on Cavern of Souls, right? I sort of go back and forth in D&T playing Cavern or not. And since I do play so much Delver, I do typically play, 1 or 2 copies in my list, but they don't know at this point.
Yeah. And we see that turn 1 Vial off of Flagstones of Trocare, which I'm excited to see. That's one good way to fight against Wasteland.
Yeah.
So, and here's the turn to Stoneforth Mist. I guess we'll see if there's any permission left in the deck there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Days would be good right there, right? But I mean,
yeah,
is it worth keeping it in? I guess it just depends, right? I mean, in my experience, I think you just let the D&T player play to the board, and then you play sweepers, and just 2-for-1 them, 3-for-1 them, things like that. 1-for-1ing or even 2-for-1ing yourself isn't usually the right play.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to give up on these early starts a little bit, but you're right. If you can just go over them, get rid of the stuff you care about and just land your one threat. I mean, you've got the tools you need to do that.
Exactly. And it looks like Hafi went ahead and went for the Jite, which, like we were saying before, sometimes it's better to go get the cheaper ones against these removal heavy decks, because as you can see, there goes the Stoneforge Mystic, and you're not stuck with a 5 casting cost card in your hand.
Exactly. And that Jite is going to be just so good against anything that's not named Death Shadow in the other deck.
Exactly. And that's why you have these Swords to Plowshares to clean up those.
So Pope here with Aether Vial still on 1 on the second turn here, so we can still see something Vial to end a turn there. We're going to see, hopefully, the difference in the Aether Vial, which got discarded last game, versus getting Aether Vial on turn 1.
Yeah, Aether Vial being probably the strongest start you can get in D&T, I think, by far.
Yeah, it just lets you double spell before your opponent, and you get to have access to so much more virtual mana. So you can cast just more things to make them answer and have it snowball from there a little bit.
For sure. Okay, so we are seeing a Wasteland over there to deal with this Caracas if it comes to that. Is that a Flagstones, by the way, that I'm
It is
seeing?
a Flagstones of Trocare. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's a good way to play around Wasteland.
Right.
People haven't seen that card. It's not super common in Legacy, but whenever it taps for white mana, and whenever it's destroyed, you get to search your deck for a plains and put it into play. So, double Crocus hand.
Okay.
So, Crocus is still legendary, so.
And we do see the Prelate. I'm going to assume 1, right?
Yeah, 1 is just such a beating for the Death Shadow player. I mean, all of their important threats except for Angler cost 1. All of their ways to find it cost 1.
And a lot of, I mean, Stubborn Denial cost 1, right?
Yep. Their removal in Fatal Push cost 1. Thought Seize if it's still in the deck. I would estimate more than half of the non-land cards in that deck are 1 CMC.
Yeah, and it looks like, is it resolving here? Yeah, it looks like it's resolving.
Yeah, we saw a fetch, but then no follow-up. So, yeah. You got it.
Alrighty. I mean, in that case, though, Home does have the Fatal Pushes once again.
Well,
See
he can't
another one
cast
of
them.
those come out. Oh, right.
Yeah, Punk can't cast them,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What am I
yeah,
thinking?
we need Snuff Out, I think.
Snuff Out.
Is the way to get
And
rid
here
of
it
those.
is.
All right. Well, asking you may receive.
Yeah, I do like that they have this main deck answer to something like Prelate. That's really cool, right? Like the blue-red Delver decks play things like a Braid or things like that. Or if you're in green, obviously you can play like Oko. But you know, these straight blue-black decks, it's cool to see that they also have answers, right? Eliminate now is another one.
Yeah, beyond Sadistic pointing out in chat there.
Eliminate, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hero's Downfall wasn't good enough at 3 mana, but Eliminate is 1 cheaper and it kills everything you care about except for Jace.
I actually quite like Eliminate, yeah.
Yeah, I love the flexibility. Well, you mentioned a Braid, and that's another card that I think just has great flexibility, and it's at the right casting cost, and it's an instant.
Yeah, this is their sort of a Braid sort of slot, right?
All right, so is that a Death Shadow?
That is a Death Shadow, and I think they are signifying the life total next to it.
Okay, yeah, there must be. Okay,
or its size.
Yeah, we're getting those life totals updated there.
We see Pont check the graveyard there. I wonder if they're counting for Gurmag Angler or if they're just adjusting it.
You think there might be a little telegraphing there?
I don't know. Just sort of things that I look out for from time to time.
Yeah. So I think that Pont, shocked off of that land. It should be at 10, yeah. But Pope is continuing to hit land drops, so can play 2 mana spells and 3 mana spells over there.
And we're swinging. What do we got in response? Ooh, Flicker Wisp, beautiful.
Yikes.
Yep. See you later, Death Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, it buys you a turn there, but then if you swing in with the Flicker Wisp, then you are going to be making it a 6/6. That's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, that's the scary thing, right? I mean, oh, and there we are. There was a Gurmag Angler. Sweet.
Yep. Big Fish has entered the chat again. Gets that Death Shadow.
Yes, Lord Darkview in chat says, eliminate kills Oko. That matters a lot. I agree.
Yeah. The Sunoco decks have not taken hold in our meta here as much as I feel like they are in MTGO, but it's still a card in Legacy, and people do still cast it.
That's right.
So Ether Vial taking up to 4 mana there, which is uncommon for Death in Texas, right? Yeah.
Yes, but to be able to get a Palace Jailer on the field uncounterable is really huge, though.
Yeah. Chat pointing out, Tensei pointing that out as well. So yeah, that would be a great answer to Gurmag Angler or Death Shadow here. That's a little bit of a hard question for me. I guess Hunt is probably about to fetch Shock down here to 7, and so eating the Death Shadow just is the no Shock in Underground Sea. Which one do you Palace Jailer, assuming it's in your hand at this very second?
Oh boy! Once again, I think that also depends on the texture of your hand, right? If you have a Sword to Plowshares, I mean, oh boy, because once again, Swords is so good against this. I would potentially, I mean, I would Swords to Gurmag and just kill the Death Shadow in the process. But assuming that's not the case, that is a hard one, right? Because Gurmag is going to stay a 5/5, and Shadow is just going to keep getting bigger. But I guess
Ye-
really now we're dealing with something that is probably worse than either for you. I mean, Liliana Last Hope is one of the best cards I think you can see against D&T.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about in the sideboarding. Is that kills everything you care about in your deck?
It certainly does, and with Hoffy not having a mom down turn one to be able to protect against this with Pro Black,
Hmm.
this could potentially just be the nail in the coffin right here.
And it's a plus. Ooh.
Yeah. Soon enough, you'll have an army of zombies, and then it won't matter which creature got jailed, right? Because then you just have an army.
Yeah. Palace Jailer notably can't hit Liliana Last Hope.
That's correct. This is where you'd want to see something like Cataclysm, but as I'd said, I don't typically bring that in, but I also haven't seen Liliana Last Hope in a while either, so
Yeah. Having access to Cataclysm is a great tool I've found for control matchups, or matchups where you expect 2 or 3 planeswalkers. But
yeah.
bringing it in against one of Liliana Last Hope you don't even know they have is a little questionable to me.
Yeah, I agree. But here we are, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
Fox
right.
in the
There's
chat.
also
Council Judgment.
Council's Judgment. Yeah, Council's Judgment's good. I guess if you are anticipating Liliana for sure. I think we're
Yeah.
seeing the Palace Jailer come in now, huh? Yep.
Yeah, and not even necessarily Liliana herself. I find that it just is. It's such a flexible answer. I mean, it's sorcery and it costs 3, which isn't the best, but
Yeah, I mean, I typically, like I said, don't like it against Delver, but I also, I haven't ran into Shadow in a while.
yeah, that's fair.
I
It
also
is a.
haven't. No, go ahead.
Oh, you.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, I also haven't ran into a lot of Rug either.
Yep. I have once in my league so far. If any of y'all are watching and interested in joining the action on our Discord, by the way, we do have a monthly league. We split into pools and then have an elimination top 8. This month we have 50 or so players, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah, we have nine pools of 5 to 6.
Just rocking it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of games being played there, and we'll also be streaming the semis and the finals at the end of the month. You've missed your shot to get in this month, but if you give it a few weeks, we'll be opening it up again for the October League at the end of this month. That's just a
Yeah.
great way to, play on your schedule. You don't have to be available on Saturday necessarily. Play at your own pace.
Absolutely. And as President Chat points out, yeah, 52 players. That's awesome,
Yep.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Yep.
And once again, thanks for everybody joining us tonight as well. Everybody in chat, all the mods behind the scenes making this all work, and to my fellow Beard brother for coming out and commentating with me. Y'all make it amazing.
Someone had to fill the hole. It looks like Palace Jailer did take out that Grimag, by the way, so we do have Death Shadow left on the board as a 6/6.
I think that would have been my play as well. Like I said, considering what I have as tools in the deck. Sure.
Yeah, if you know that you're drawing towards Swords to Plowshares, or you might have a Swords to Plowshare in your hand, I absolutely agree that that's the way to go there.
Yeah. So we see the hymn to Torak.
Yikes. We're probably gonna fire for swords if we have it here. Yeah.
Yep.
So that takes out the only other way that the Shadow player here has to deal damage and get that Monarch back as well. So no Monarchy this turn either.
Yeah, and I mean, actually, let's see. The Liliana, the Liliana is unable to kill Palace Jailer as well with the tick up.
Oh, Palace Jailer beefy.
Yeah, 2/2, right?
Liliana the Veil gives -2/-1 here. You're right. So
yeah, so Palace Jailer is going to stick around for a minute. It may not be doing much damage in the coming turns, but
it's not. But it will stay a blocker, and it'll keep Hopi drawing 2 cards a turn with 3 lands up with Aether Vial. So hopefully gonna see catching up a little bit here.
oh, okay. I was wondering what was going on here with the Palace Jailer. I saw it leave the board for a second, but I think we're on the right track here.
Yep. Better Skull was in hand along with Sanctum Prelate.
Yeah, and that got pitched to the hymn.
Yeah, that would be one way to keep the Palace Jailer dealing damage. But I mean, any other threat is also just a way to keep Palace Jailer dealing damage.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief Fox in
But I
chat.
mean,
Lily going +1 on Jailers, a thrill a minute, I imagine, is what that was going to say.
that's true, Lord Darkview. Basically, everything else in D&T does die to it, so
Yeah.
that makes
Dr.
sense.
Dr. Leo, our table spotter here, is confirming that the Shadow player thought that they killed it there, since everything else dies.
Right. Well, and hey, speaking of Lord Darkview, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate you coming out here.
Thank you. Having a lot of new faces here tonight. It's great to see people who are curious about Legacy coming to see some matches. Some just, oddly nice, fair Magic tonight. It's just people playing with creatures and turning them sideways.
Yeah. I mean, some people claim that D&T is dead or whatever, but I mean, it's obviously still showing up in full force.
Yep. We were talking about decks for newer players earlier. I think Death in Texas is one of those that you can pick up and you can play your 1-drop on turn 1, you can play your 2-drop on turn 2, etc. But getting the reps in with it really helps your results there.
Yes, it's extremely rewarding for its sort of intricate lines of play, but it's certainly user friendly to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah. See Flicker Wisp here. I mean, you can reset the Liliana, I guess.
Yeah, I've done that several times.
Hard because I didn't Ancient Tomb.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pair of them in the deck. Yeah.
Yeah, that Wasteland's still around, notably on Hoffy's side. I guess there's nothing that you care about opponent resolving from 4 mana to 3 mana.
Yeah, and I mean at this point, killing the Caracas to save your own Thalias, I suppose, isn't that big of a deal considering they have Liliana as well. But we are seeing the eliminate on the Flicker Wisp, right? Because it cannot hit Palace Jailer.
Yep.
Notably,
However,
Palace Jailer just being an MVP in this match. It's really cool to see.
yep. However, the Liliana flipping that also saves the Liliana because it comes back at 3 loyalty, and if he had killed the Jailer, then Liliana goes down.
Yes.
Surprised to see no had opponent already ticked up on the Palace Jailer at that point. I was surprised to see no swing.
Yeah, same here.
But just gonna keep plussing.
To play D&T well, one must master the dodging Oko technique. Yeah, sure. I mean, dealing with an Oko is usually at least as bad as dealing with a Liliana, right? Liliana at least doesn't turn your equipment into elk.
Yeah, but Oko doesn't kill your creatures, so.
Yeah, you can swing Oko. Here for Mirren Crusader's pretty good.
Yeah, I hear that having Pro Black against the Fatal Push Snuff Out deck is pretty good.
For sure.
Stoneforge Mystic, probably it's just sort of Fire and Ice at this point, unless there's something on the board, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, none in the board. Notably, there aren't any Mirren Crusaders in this deck here. There are 3 Phyrexian Revokers, which can come in clutch to deal with that Liliana.
Yeah. I would love to. It's been a long time since I've seen a Liliana Ultimate in Legacy, and I would kind of love for that to be the case here. We would need a couple things to go exactly right, but
Very true. But I mean, I've ulted a few Lilianas in my day, and I mean, it feels good, man. It feels really good to just get that emblem and have the zombies flowing. But I mean, you know me, I'm no stranger to the zombos.
yeah, I've never gotten to pull it off myself. I've ulted Ren and 6 a few times when we were graced with their presence in Legacy for that brief moment, brief shining moment.
Very brief, for sure.
So, Punt has a lot to think about here. Also, fleshiness their hand just a little bit, but looks like they're going back. I appreciate the hand count, but sitting across the table, Pope Poppy's looking at the same thing we are there.
Right, that's true.
Maybe we'll point out to Doc to have.
HG Fox in chat says Zombo combo for sure. Happy feet.
Sambo combo. I don't see a Field of
Yeah.
the Dead here anywhere. Although Pope Poppy's land base is making it look like they could support Field of the Dead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a wide array of choices here in this Death and Taxes deck. Very cool. And we do see the Plague Engineer. Probably one of DNT's biggest nightmares. That also allows the Palace Jailer to then be killed by the Liliana if he chooses human.
Exactly. Yeah, Plague Engineer looks like there's some diversified creature types on Pope Poppy's side of the board, and also none of them are 1 toughness. So both of those things do help. But
Yeah, it looks like it's actually going to be on core here.
okay. So that means that the means Stoneforge can never deal damage, which means that Fire and Ice will never be turned on. Protects the Liliana a little bit as well. I don't know. Palace Jailer is an awkward card to play against for sure. Getting rid of it doesn't do anything, so
it's already kind of just doing its job, right?
Yeah. Oh, Lord Dark, you in chat. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. It does give +2/+2 in addition to all the other stuff it does. I just care about the shock in the card usually, but that is a good point.
Very true, yeah.
So that means Popafi doesn't have any actual power in play this turn, I guess, unless they flash in the Sword of Fire and Ice, which it looks like they may do here, and then attack with the Jailer.
Oh yeah. Notably, though, that Plague Engineer can block it.
Yeah, it can block, but if you elect to not block, it means you can take back Monarch on your turn. I'm not sure if that's a calculation that they want to make there.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it just depends. Because I mean, if you don't block here, though, that Lily's dying, right?
It won't quite die this turn because it has to hit the actual player. It presumably got -2, -1 last turn, so it only has 2 power now.
Yeah. Right.
But also, it does have to hit a player to do the shock. Planeswalkers don't count.
Also,
so we do see a trade.
Lord Darkview does point out that the Sword Trigger can kill the Engineer.
Yeah, Sword Trigger killing Engineer would be good beats. Surgical.
Oh, okay. And what are we seeing a surgical on here? Plague Engineer?
Plague Engineer. Get out of my face. So there's only one more to get, but we do get to see the deck here.
Yeah, card's nonsense.
Using checklist cards, I appreciate that.
Yeah, very cool. What do you think it is?
I'm not sure. If I could think of a single other transform card, I would say that. Yeah. Is Arlen Cord a flip card? I'm gonna say Arlen Cord if that is one.
Halpack Alpha or whatever. I don't even remember. It's Delver.
No baby Jace. Wrong set. We don't need that.
Or who? Thing in the Ice.
Yeah, Thing in the Ice.
It's like
I thought we had gone a little blue on this this chat here, out of the PG realm.
Yeah.
Arlen Cord. There we go. Thank you. That's a card.
We got all sorts of speculation going on here now. Clearly, yeah. Search for Escanta.
I just wanted to name any card from Innistrad rather than make sure I had the right checklist card. Huntmaster of the Fells. There we go. All right, Chad is helping me out here. Apparently, I didn't play enough Innistrad Standard.
There were werewolves I thought were pretty cool. I don't remember what any of them are called, but yeah, Huntmaster.
Yeah, and I forgot about Garruk Relentless. I do actually have that in the old Legacy binder. Tick up on Lily, we presume?
Yeah, I didn't see anything mill, so.
Yeah.
Huntmaster has seen some Legacy, for sure.
Yep. That's somewhere in the 80. If I could build an 85 card loam deck, Huntmaster of the Fells might be in the 85 somewhere.
For sure.
I guess there's always Yorion, but that seems suspect.
I thought about bringing it up, and I was like, I'm just not even going to go there.
Malfi with Titania. Yeah, that's one of those old EDH cards that I do technically have, but I've never actually cast it in Legacy.
Yes, I
Snuff Out.
remember you mentioning that for sure. Okay, Snuff Out on the equipped core there. Good stuff.
Yep. Unfortunately, that sword does not give protection from all the colors in that deck. So
Yeah, we had mentioned in the previous match about the Sword of Feast and Famine and how that could come out clutch there.
I was actually referring to 85 in the main deck and sideboard, but we'll pretend it was 85 for the main
Just
deck.
for the main deck?
Yeah. Yep. They gave us swords in Modern Horizons. I don't know if there was a blue-black one as part of that cycle.
There was like Steel and Sinew and
Truth
something.
and Justice?
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay. I don't think they gave us the full cycle, but
getting all philosophical on us.
Yep. So on an endless tick up on that Liliana, that's got to be answered.
Certainly.
But Pont is hellbent here, and Pope Hoffy has mana, so I assume we're going to see a sword on that Stoneforge Mystic.
Boom.
Get him.
Coming out. Got him.
Oh, that Karakos bounced the Thalia that was cast last turn, so caught that interaction.
Mm-hmm.
What does Pont draw here? Plague Engineering gone, and there's just not.
It's possible that Pope did bring in the Council's judgments. That would be amazing right now, and hopefully it doesn't get countered, right?
Yeah. Although the sword on the Liliana is going to keep it off ultimate here, at least for the foreseeable future. We presume it's probably going to tick down and target Thalia next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, tick up and target Thalia next turn.
Sure.
So there's adequate pressure on it. But at the same time, I don't know what card you actually commit to the board here. Oh, Tavitsky, welcome to the MTGPL Legacy stream here.
Glad to have you. Yeah. Good to see you, folks. And thanks to everyone that's came out today. Hey, back to back, Nyoko. Welcome.
And
thank you all very, very much.
We see that Monarch token on Pope's side here. Pope has drawn an extra hand at this point, I think, from that Monarch token. That Jailer has really seen some cards.
Yeah, just putting in work.
And yeah, I think that Pope sees the writing on the wall here.
All right. Well,
we get another game 3. More Magic for your money.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, for a second, I had like flashbacks of being like, all right, everybody, that's time to pack it in for the night. And I was like, no, don't do it.
Mr. Dex is streaming for us tonight and has very helpfully put the 1-1 at the top, so I can always keep track of which game we're on.
Yeah, moving on.
Never punished for the Jailer. So, do you change anything now that you've seen both decks, or now that both players have seen some of the cards out of the other one? Do you think we bring Council Judgment in against that Liliana?
To be fair, yeah, I think that actually kind of caught me off guard. Like I said, I haven't played against the Liliana since the days of Grixis Control. And so it may be fair to bring that in because that is just a house against this deck.
Yeah, it just kind of does everything. I'm curious about those surgical extractions. Death Shadow isn't like necessarily a typical combo deck, but I mean, if you can take all 4 of the Death Shadows, then that really frees you up throughout the game. I'm curious if that's why those were.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Coffee, but like I said, it may be for the same reasons that I had potentially considered bringing in a Rest in Peace just to deal with like the Gurmags. It could just be that sort of thinking as well.
Yeah, but if you Rest in Peace answers all the Gurmags, but Surgical Extraction Gurmag Angler isn't really a winning strategy, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it may be possible that Hoffy sees that and says, well, maybe I will, back off on the surgicals and maybe bring in like the Council's Judgment.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Do you think we see any of the counter magic come back in for Pont this last game? He's on the
draw.
play, he's on the play for game 3. But we saw that game that like just sticking a threat and protecting it might not work out with the density that Hoffy has.
Yeah. once again, I think, at least in my opinion, the best strategy is sort of just try and enact your game plan, and they still have to beat you with these creatures. So to be able to wipe their board, I think may still be the way, right?
Yeah. Pope has afterboard. I mean, so many more removal spells for your 8 key threats in your deck. Delver, I'm not really counting Delver there. If you stick at turn 1, it's great, but the old
But
turn
that's
12 Delver off the top doesn't really do it a lot of the time.
no, especially against a deck like D&T.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically, I mean, you always want the turn 1 Delver, but yeah, it feels really bad to have it come so late against a deck like D&T.
Yeah. So we do see some changes have. I believe some changes happen for both players on their sideboarding, though. So see if we see anything different this game.
Absolutely. And yeah, so we're starting it off here. We're going to go ahead and get a turn 1 Ponder.
I mean, Ponder is just one of those cards, even better than Brainstorm turn 1. The Gluver format, Ponder just lets you look at the top 3, see if you like them, and if you don't, then just put them back, and then you're not down any cards turn 1. That's just a good way to dig.
Oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful selection. Not really available in most formats.
Yeah.
Oh, are we seeing a turn 1 Aether Vial again? Oh, let's hope it
Looks
sticks
like it.
this time, huh?
Yep. I mean, we saw last game. That is such a beating for the Shadow player. But it
Yes,
does
and
resolve.
yes, it can be very risky though, right? Like showing that hand of not starting with your basic planes, I think can actually sort of signify a bit of weakness in your hand. So having that Aether Vial resolve is huge.
Yeah, there's not any lands in Huffy's deck that this might be bait for, right? Like if you bait out the Wasteland on turn 1 with Port, there's not like a Gaia's Cradle or a Cloud Post or something you're trying to protect with this deck, right?
Right. I mean, it is very possible that they could, since Huffy is running these ancient tombs, maybe
Yeah,
that I mean, having a soul land like be there is good, but then again, having port is always just amazing anyway, right? With
yeah.
your D&T deck, we do see a hymn to Torak, so
Uh-oh.
good clean magic here.
Yeah, I mean, tap 2 mana, discard 2 cards. It's just like, little. You pay the cost for the card, man. It's fair.
That's what it do.
Yeah, I do like that how elegant of a card that is. I feel like it is exactly the right power for 2 mana. It's a little bit hard to cast because it's double black.
I love hymn to Torak so much.
Yeah.
Wow, those are some amazing hits too, right? Thalia and
Ooh,
swords, two of the last things opponent wants to see here.
yeah.
So very good. Good luck on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that Pope's hand is just stacked and says, "Whoops! At least I don't have to like have extra Thalia in my hand now." Um,
Sure.
but I guess we're gonna see if we play a threat here into potential days or just pass. Looks like just gonna choose to pass.
All right.
See a cycle of cycle of street right there. Uh, here's debate time. We see Prez in the comments with "That's my favorite hymn art." I'm partial to the Wolves. Which one is your favorite hymn art?
Me?
Yeah.
I actually kind of like the people standing around in a circle doing like the ritual or whatever.
With an actual hymn or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like them all though. I just think
Yeah.
it's a beautiful card with beautiful art. Yeah.
There's a wasteland on that port that you were worried about with a follow up of Delver here.
Yeah.
Silent, imagine not splitting hymns. I'm very much all arts have to be the same. All of a card in a deck have to match.
I typically go for that as well. But for example, my fiance, she loves having like she would have 4 of each different art if she could though. Like that's her thing. So I don't know, man. Different strokes for different folks, huh? And
Yeah.
they are
Here's the
all welcome here.
here's that backup Thally we were talking about. Doing a
Yeah,
little bit of
absolutely.
a favor for pitching that other Thalia for you.
Yeah, get it out of the hand, man. Doesn't need to be there.
So inner turn, we'll see a. Is that an inner turn brainstorm with no fetch out? Yeah. Oh, it must be, or that's in response to the Thalia.
Yeah, I guess just to be mana efficient, right?
Well, I assume that if they could have found an answer for Thalia, they might have fired it off there. If they were trying to dig for a brainstorm for a force or for a daze or something.
True, and it also does set up the Delver.
Exactly. And you got to get it in response, or you won't be able to actually cast it for your Delver. It's of course it's possible, like we were talking about, that the counter magic is just gone this game, but
very true. I do love HC Fox's comment here. Got to play as many arts as you can. You don't know which art will be your opponent's favorite. You know what? That's very, very thoughtful.
Yeah,
I like
to
that.
pretend. I like to pretend that I'm good enough at Magic to where like the 0.25% edge against Thoughtseize and like Brainstorm and stuff, it will pay off for playing the same arts. I don't want my opponent to have that information.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Is this
People
another
playing their
play?
snow-covered and basic splits or whatever to throw people off. I mean, yeah, it's cool. I don't disagree, and I do think you are good enough to do that. But you know, like I said, different strokes.
Yeah. Do you see a Plague Junior on humans there?
It's a good move.
Yeah.
That's my typical go-to.
The white border fetches.
Oh yeah.
Nice. I would
White
humans on Plague Junior.
bordered shocklands. I've seen a couple of those.
Yeah,
Nice Sacred Foundry I once saw.
Yeah, a little bit of r/MTG gore there, but
oh boy,
yeah, I finished out whiteboarding all the shocks for a 5-color EDH deck, and I tore a nice chunk out of one of them. I'm still playing it. It's maybe not tournament
still
legal.
sleeve playable.
Yes, still sleeve playable.
All right, so we do see a wasteland on the tomb. Yeah, I mean, didn't matter how many things you threw in front of it, they knew. Ooh, double swords here.
I don't love this. Only because if there's a daze on the other side of the table, that is such a blowout. I would much rather cast those one at a time. But
sure, but hey, boom,
it worked. Yeah.
Maybe it just scared him, right? Maybe Punt was like, oh, the aggressiveness
confidence
of those. Yeah, the confidence alone on those.
So
ooh.
Gonna see
but now we do have this Gurmag.
Yeah, and we're 3 out of 4 forces down, so yeah. Chat here talking about whiteboarding beta duels. You were banished from the MTG Legacy Discord. I'm kidding. You can play whatever you want, but you would
too. Yeah.
You would definitely have to point out, like, did you notice the registration is very slightly different on this plateau?
Mm-hmm.
Although you would get the other art on there. Sanctum Prelate. So
and
that's
one, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good name on there. It doesn't answer the 5/5 on the board, but
True.
Matthew, my favorite land tilting was someone who had all non-matching mountains in their mono red deck in Modern, and one of them was the Anthology's white bordered Arabian Nights mountain specifically, and I think that card is it's just such a funny specific mountain.
Oh yeah, we do see an eliminate here. Oh, but we see flashed in Prelate, second Prelate.
Oh, had all these, yeah. So we assume that one is naming one as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I would go with. For a moment, I thought they were gonna try and pull some shenanigans, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can't prevent someone from casting a spell they already cast, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yep. Either while staying on 3 with only 2 lands out, so no more 4-drops this game right now. But
okay, yeah, might as well just block it here. I'm sure that Pope would love to see a Jailer here, but I think that may just be a scoop spell.
That reveal from Pope though had all these.
Oh my goodness!
Yikes! Yeah, that wasn't going
to.
Yeah, that wasn't going to end well
Yeah.
for Pope, even if he had managed to draw out of that.
So it makes a lot of sense. Pope with the awareness, just knowing it. So once again, everybody, thanks for tuning in this week. We do have our special announcement to talk about for our next week's Legacy Fight Night. And would you like to do the honors there, Chaotic Bear, and let us know
No,
what's going on?
I think we should drag it out for another, like, what, 10, 20 minutes? Just sort of
Yeah,
leave them hanging.
yeah. Why not? We'll have it cut off
All
from
right.
the VOD.
Yeah, just kidding. Mr. Tech here is showing it off on cam. We next